Hello, this is a video tutorial on how to write your introduction to your summary and response paper. So the purpose of an introduction is to do a couple things. One is to get your reader's attention. It's to hopefully make them want to read more. So we're going to talk about how to do that. And then the other goal of your introduction is just to lay out what your argument is going to be and make it really clear to your reader where things are going to be going in your essay so that the person reading it has a really clear idea about what you're talking about. So let's look at this summary of paper. Your introduction should get the reader's attention, provide context, and end with a focused thesis statement that articulates your response to the text. So the word thesis statement here really just has to do with a sentence, or maybe two, but probably a sentence, where you just make it really clear what your position is in response to the prompt, or what your main claim is going to be, to use another word that we've been using throughout this course. All right, so that's our introduction. So how do we do this? Well, let's look at my modeled summary and response paper that we did with the TED Talk, okay? And your introduction is actually pretty short here. Would the world be better with more Anne Franks or more George W. Bushes? All right, that's my attention grabber. We're going to talk about those more in just a second. This is the premise of a TED Talk by teenage speaker Adora Svitek. In her speech, she argues that the world would be a better place if adults could find a way to be more like kids. Svitek's speech avoids discussing some of the more immature attributes of children, and she would be better served to understand children in a less idealized light. Okay, so let's talk just briefly about what this does. We have the attention grabber. Then we have a sentence here that kind of bridges to my thesis statement, right? It gives a little bit of context, okay? So in this sense, you need to kind of connect your attention grabber, which seems kind of random. You're going to connect that attention grabber to what you're talking about Trevor Noah, okay? And that's just giving a little context about what you're going to be speaking about. This does not need to be long, okay? This is 2 sentences here. And then we get to our thesis statement. It's a focused thesis statement, okay? We are talking about our response here to what Trevor Noah says about pain and how to respond to pain. When you get to your thesis statement, in any part of your introduction, really, avoid using first person. Don't say, I think, I believe. We're going to avoid first person. It keeps a more formal tone in our writing. And it also, I have found that if we avoid first person, we avoid some sloppiness that sometimes happens in our writing. I can tell here, I wrote this, but I can tell that this is still an opinion statement, right? It avoids discussing some of the more immature attributes. She would be better served. There is an opinion here, right? I am showing my bias. I'm showing my position, but I'm just not saying I think. And most of the time in your writing, you can just erase I think and your sentence will still work, okay? So usually that's an easy peasy fix. All right, lastly, I just want to look at attention grabbers really quick, and we'll be working on these more throughout the year, but there are a couple different types of attention grabbers that you can use, and I have a longer video for this if you want to use it, but I just want to go over it briefly. One type of attention grabber is asking a rhetorical question. This is a question that doesn't have an answer, but it's used to be thought-provoking. Now, if you're doing this, do not just repeat the prompt, okay? Don't just say, what do you think about going through pain? No, you want to actually be thought-provoking. So if you notice in my modeled summary, would the world be better with more Anne Franks or more George W. Bushes, right? So I'm actually creating something that relates to the prompt, right? But isn't the prompt itself, because that's not really attention grabbing. Make sure it actually is thought-provoking. Another thing that you could do is tell a brief story. It could be a personal story. I'm not sure that this particularly works well for this prompt because you don't have a lot of space and that's just going to take up space. But that is something that could work if you tell a short story that happened to you or another person. You could also tell a weird or interesting fact, okay, that gets someone's attention. So maybe there is something weird or interesting in Trevor Noah's book that you want to put in your essay, but you're not sure where that fits. Might work for an attention grabber, but make sure that you can then connect it to the rest of your paragraph. So there needs to be a natural transition then into your essay. So don't just go totally random. And Trevor's book can do that. Or you could use a key quotation. And I think in this case, this might be another one that works out really well. You could use a really key quotation from Trevor Noah that doesn't really fit in the rest of your essay, but you think, okay, I still want to include this, and my introduction might be a good place to do it. Again, make sure that you can figure out a way to then transition into the rest of your paragraph, and so that it makes sense where it fits. It's not totally random, but that might be a good way to kind of deal with that. All right, I hope that's helpful for you to start thinking through your introduction and how to do it. It shouldn't be that long. Your introduction should be really focused and clear, and not overly wordy. Okay, again, you're saving the bulk of your essay for that response section. All right, thank you all.